All right, this is Pure PhD here.
And this is Mudita Heart here, and we're talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Specifically, chapters 1 through 9 in my playthrough on my channel. I've been doing that on my Twitch channel. I've also been uploading my plays on YouTube, and I have a nice fun playlist for you to check that out if you want to. But yeah, we're just gonna go over my impressions of the game so far. And this was my first playthrough of it for the first 9 chapters, and I still have to play the next 9 chapters of the game. There's a total of 18 chapters. But Pure PhD, I believe you have different experience with this game.
Well, first off, do you want to plug your Twitch and YouTube?
Yeah, my Twitch is at twitch.tv/MuditaHeart, and my YouTube doesn't have a name yet because I don't have enough subscribers, so just look out for the link on there. On my Twitch. But yeah, follow my Twitch is more the better place for it. If you just want to look it up, just look up Mudita Heart Plays Final Fantasy VII Remake on YouTube, and my playlist will come up.
I think if I had to talk about the game, I'd have to do it chapter by chapter.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit tough for me because I already beat the game.
Yeah, but I just mean just as a baseline, you have previous experience playing the game on PlayStation, right?
Oh, on PlayStation 1?
PlayStation 4. And
Okay.
Also, we both have experience playing the game on PlayStation 1 as well.
Okay, I can actually talk about that a little bit. My PlayStation 4 doesn't really work. And I played it day of release.
Okay.
So I waited for the countdown and everything. It took a long time to download the stupid game because it's 200 gigabytes.
Right. It's a big game.
And probably everyone was downloading a PS4 at the time because there's no other way of playing it.
Right.
And it was 200 gigabytes.
Right. We can get into where all those gigabytes went, but yeah, that's definitely worth talking about.
Yeah. I also played the demo when it was out on.
Oh, okay.
When that was out on PS4, that worked pretty well.
Right. I remember the demo being a pretty big moment in my apartment with my roommates. We
Yeah.
were so excited. We been waiting 25 years or whatever for this demo to come out. It's
23, yes, yeah.
So just to get into this a little bit, this remake is 20 years in the making. Final Fantasy VII is the classic 7th installment of the Final Fantasy franchise by
Lucky 7.
What's that?
Lucky 7.
Lucky 7, created by Hironobu Sakaguchi. Final Fantasy VII marked the jump of the Final Fantasy series to CD-ROM, to fully animated video, 3D graphics, and also modern era kind of storytelling instead of classic kind of fantasy storytelling.
And probably marketing too. I had one of the best marketing campaigns of all time, in my opinion, in America at least.
Yeah, they definitely pushed for the marketing for it in America much more. They had big cardboard cutouts of Cloud Strife at EB Toys and stuff like that. Is what I heard.
I don't know about that, but I remember the trailers on TV were and you'll never find it in a theater near you and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was all over AOL and the tag is in sync. Was it group or the keyword they typed in on AOL that doesn't exist anymore? To show you how old I am.
AOL keywords. That's how old this game is. It's from the beginning of the internet.
It's not less than American Online.
It's
before YouTube.
And people went on GameFAQs.com back then.
And they still do this.
And they still go on the same guides from 25 years ago to
I still use the Kamagura guide.
Yeah.
Kamagura guide still works very well, even though it's not a speedrun guide or whatever.
Right. Kamagura was one of the writers of a guide from GameFAQs on 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was still getting updates for a long period of time and stuff. And it's still a classic. That's how.
That's a go-to guide for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was a big thing for PlayStation at the time. I'm wearing a PlayStation shirt.
Yeah.
This was during when PlayStation was competing against Nintendo.
They just jumped ship. They they had a falling out and stuff.
Yeah, I actually go over a lot of this in my part 1 of my playthrough actually, because I show a lot of the old trailers and the new trailers and a little bit of articles talking about the history of Final Fantasy VII and stuff like that. So if you check out the first part of my playthrough, you can actually see a lot of this stuff too. So Mudita Heart Plays Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes.
Part 1. I played this on Windows Edition on my budget gaming PC. I played it on my stream, all 6 parts of it live on stream. My first impressions. I used like kind of semi-low resolution textures and shadows. I got the Integrate Edition. It was $70 on Epic Games Store because it's only on Epic Games Store for now. But I got like a $10 off coupon over like this past winter break and stuff. So yeah.
You also originally played it on PS4, but then like your roommate moved out, right?
Yeah, I originally played a little bit of the game on my roommate's PS4 using your account to download it on my roommate's PS4, but then my roommate moved out.
I forget different save files somehow. I don't know how that works exactly programming wise, but it did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it... I think it was like saved locally and it didn't cloud save or whatever. Yeah. On the cloud. Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, the Fantasy VII meme, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, and speaking of which, if you don't know, Fantasy VII is a game... is a classic story about super soldier Cloud Strife and his... gang of freedom fighters fighting against mega corporations and the mysterious Sephiroth, who is tied to his past. So yeah, this remake has a lot to live up to. 20 years of hype, living in the legacy of a game that's had many sequels and spin-offs and anime tie-ins and countless merchandise and even weddings and pets and children named after it and tattoos.
There's a Butterfingers tie-in to this game, this release.
Oh yeah, there was like
they put it on the WWE like pay-per-view advertisements and stuff too.
Yeah, I remember getting a Maruchan ramen that had like a Cloud Strife thing on the side where you could get an in-game item or something or other. But yeah, does this game live up to all this hype and stuff is like what we're trying to answer today. And this is going to be part 1 of this review of chapters 1 through 9 of the game. And it's going to be spoiler free, so if you haven't played the game, it's just giving you impressions of it. You don't have to worry about story spoilers too much. We're going to try and avoid story spoilers. Next part of this next video, we'll try to get into some of the spoilers, because that's where a lot of fun stuff happens too, so definitely want to do that as well. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm going into professional mode instead of like casual chat mode.
That's fine.
Whatever, but I don't know. Just gotta have a little formatting here. But
right, we need format. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, we gotta have format. We gotta have.
Get the laugh every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta have format. we gotta have reviews. Yeah, we gotta get reviews. We're professionals.
We're sponsored by hedge funds and stuff. Yeah.
Is that true? What do you?
We're definitely not.
This is very casual. We're just two brothers talking about Final Fantasy VII. We're like long fans of this.
We're never better to do it.
Something better to do it. Yeah. Yeah, soon enough I'll get back in the game though.
Let's not get into that. That's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
Should I get my cranberry juice?
There you go. It's the new format now. The cranberry juice format.
We're just killing the time here.
I should get some cranberry juice too. Yeah.
Anyway, while you're doing that, I think I'll just start off by saying, like, the production. So speaking of 200 gigabytes of storage, this game has amazing production value. It has like these amazing cutscenes. Everything is like fully voice acted, like even down to like the random NPCs. All these characters have like animations. And to give background on this part 1 of like Final Fantasy VII Remake, this is just part 1 of the game. And it all takes place in the first world of the game, first section of the game, which takes place under the plate of Midgar, which is this kind of like dystopian cyberpunk city that's like run by a mega energy corporation called Shinra. And like they have like all this it's like this dystopian city, and like you can really feel the sense of scale of the city too. So like when you're under there, you see like, wow, this plate is like miles up ahead of you. You can see like the shadows of the sun like cascading across like the like different pieces of metal and rusty metal and stuff. You feel like little plant life growing and like dying, and like there's all these people living in slums and stuff, like hundreds of NPCs just.
Are you talking about like the opening cutscene for it?
So I'm just talking about like there's like cutscenes and like also like when you're wandering around the different sections of Midgar in this game. So yeah, in this first 9 chapters, you're like wandering around these different sectors of Midgar, And each
It takes so long. Midgar's so big. It takes 70 hours plus the Yuffie DLC.
Yes, yes. In the original game, this whole section took like maybe 2 hours or maybe 4 hours of the original game. But like they expanded this whole single part of the game to like a full 30-hour, fully produced game, and they really tried to do as much as they could with it. But like both in terms of production value, but also trying to like create as much content for it for like a little bit better or worse. There's like kind of mixed feelings about that. Because like all these things that you remember from the original game, they like try to like fully realize it as like, oh, I didn't even realize they were gonna do that, and like make that a whole section of the game. They're gonna like make that a whole place you could go to now, and stuff like that. Like little courtyards that like are little throwaway scenes. Now you can go there physically and stuff. But yeah, and yeah, it's told in JRPG style, so it's like you're going from set piece to set piece and section to section and chapter to chapter. But it's not like fully open world. But
you can see in the trailers like there's like these little like blue arrows that like point you like into the start parts that you have to load into or whatever, or like jump over.
Right. It's a linear story, and another thing to say is that the gameplay, the combat from the original game was turn-based, which like a lot of people couldn't get into. They made it like fully action-based, kind of like RPG combat, which is kind of like semi. You can decide actually between the two if you want to switch between active time, like turn-based, or like button mashing, kind of like attacking and stuff. But yeah, and you can also set different difficulties too. But I chose normal difficulty with the real-time button hitting system, and yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I feel like that's really where a lot of like the fun of the game comes from. But also sometimes the battles feel like a little bit drawn out a little bit, and that's a little frustrating. But it's still a pretty fun game overall, and like I'm enjoying like the process so far. 9 chapters in, and I'm just getting up to the sewers chapter, which I'm hearing a lot of things about, like even before I got into this. But as like. And, like, I'm starting to feel a little bits of some chapters here and there, like, oh, they could have cut this chapter down by, like, 30 minutes or something at some points. But overall, I'm finding a lot of, really... I'm really impressed with, like, the storytelling and world building in the game. And the very satisfying combat.
They still use the stagger system from Fantasy 13 in it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was from that game. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, the stagger system is, like, something that you, yeah...
You build it up, and then you do more damage to enemies. Sometimes it's triggered by the enemy's weaknesses or whatever.
Right. So, like, it keeps you, like, figuring out... It keeps you, like, thinking, like, about your next moves. Like, you can't just mash buttons. You gotta think about, okay, I want to try to do the thing that staggers them so I can do even more damage, so I can really efficiently take out this battle and stuff like that.
Helps you, like, when you figure out when you want to use a magic ability or a... ATB ability or a limit break or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
possibly Barrett's... Well, Barrett's... it's not a limit break. It's like his chart. It's like Mega Buster move or whatever it is.
Right. Each character has like different moves, and like they have like charge moves and stuff, and like they have different like abilities they learn from their different weapons, and they really flesh out like the combat system and like the equipment system, and there's like different weaknesses that different enemies have due to attacks, or different magic weaknesses and stuff. So yeah, managing all that actually makes combat pretty fresh, and like always like kind of like even like down to like small enemies, you're always like trying to like find your footing as to like, okay, what am I going to do in this battle? What am I going to do in this battle? In the original game, it kind of felt like you could kind of just like whatever. Like
if you're playing casually, yeah.
You could play pretty casually and not really think about it too much.
It's one of the most accessible Final Fantasies casual play.
Yeah. In the original Final Fantasy VII, you could just like attack, magic. It didn't matter. Like it didn't really matter most of the time.
Yeah.
Here you have to kind of be a little selective, especially with the boss
battles. It's a very anti-Final Fantasy, anti-Dragon Quest game in that you didn't really need to worry about weaknesses for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah. Yeah, and then also like a fun note, I learned that the original Midgar section of the game in Final Fantasy VII, it only took up like a very short amount of time in the game, but actually, I think I heard somewhere that like it took up like half the dialogue in the game.
Probably.
So
Like
so yeah,
every town in like the original OG game, like
you
like
spent like 5 minutes there.
yeah.
So yeah, and I
And
do
I guess
feel
like 25% is like in Junon or something.
right.
Yeah.
And I do feel like there is something about like the mystique of like that whole world of like when you're playing Final Fantasy VII. When we played Final Fantasy VII for the first time as like a young person, we're like, wow, this huge city feels like infinite. Like there's so much to explore here. So like I would really be like, you could see like the people imagining like where this game, like first part of this game could go. And of course they're going to make it several parts to keep milking the game, is like, okay, what could we really explore and like what we could really like flesh out here. And there definitely is a lot to flesh out, but yeah, again, like it does feel like at points like it's a little strained as to how much they're like fleshing things out and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The original game, like they had to keep the dialogue still minimalist because like otherwise they'd have to add a couple more discs to it.
right.
Sort of like how like Final Fantasy VI, I think you didn't know all of Mog's backstory because there just wasn't enough disk space on it or like cartridge space for on Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
So like because of like you'd have to translate like Asian characters into like Roman characters, and then that would take up like sometimes as much space.
Right. There's
Yeah.
actually like a pretty great fan playthrough by a journalist and content creator, Tim Rogers, who's like playing Final Fantasy VII, and he goes through like the beginning of the game and like then translates scene by scene what's happening in Japanese to like kind of like explain like, okay, what are they actually saying in Japanese, and like he also mentions like, of course, like the character limits of like the original game means like you can like fit more, like each character in Japanese is like a full word, but in English like each character is like a part of a word, is a letter, so you actually have to fit more with less in English or whatever.
Yeah. Someone I subscribe to does the same thing on their Twitch. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Okay, very cool. But
and I think there's like a mod for like current gen like computers or emulators or whatever where you can play with the original dialogue and translated.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, the storytelling, the production value, the combat, all these different sections of the game, it's pretty much hitting all the beats that you're seeing from the original game.
Like thank goodness, like it's not terrible like terrible music or something. Otherwise, like the game would be ruined.
Right. They have like beautiful orchestral music in this game.
Yeah, sometimes it just hits right there.
It hits you like really like wow, like they fully produced this and like it, like I don't know, it's like an arresting soundtrack, at times, like, and like they'll just have it like queue up to like an edited cutscene and stuff, and you're like, wow, this is like a beautiful game experience.
You can collect the music CDs for the jukebox, and that's really cool since I'm pretty sure everyone's a fan of the music and would want to go to a jukebox and play that music.
Right, there's like a lot of collectibles in this game. There's a lot of collecting in this game. There's like little CDs. There's like little vending machines in this game to like buy items and stuff. They have little convenience things in the game too, where like if you get stuck, you can like level up to make sure you don't get stuck or whatever.
Yeah.
There's like save points. There's like it also has like a lot of like modernization stuff where like it just streamlines a lot of stuff where like you don't have to worry about a lot of things like you did in the original game. So like I don't know, this is not a great example, but like you can level up your weapons and stuff, and you can auto allocate like the
it has like the Final Fantasy IX system in that aspect. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like there's like skill points and stuff, and you can level up your weapons and stuff. And it's kind of like a little bit like Final Fantasy 12 too, with those orb system and whatnot, but probably a little less like that. But it's probably more similar to Final Fantasy.
Maybe a combination of 9 and 12.
A little bit like 6, with like the Espers. Yeah, but
you can do a whole video on that.
Yeah, but yeah. Long story short is that like there's a lot of like fun things like that you can do to customize your characters, but also like automatically do it so you don't have to think about it too much.
You can learn abilities with each different weapon that you can use the ATB bar on.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of weapon stuff, a lot of magic stuff.
Of course, materia.
You could like a lot of materia. You could buy a lot of materia. There's like a lot of different materia you can find and buy.
You can master it and stuff. How did you feel about you probably forgot this from your PS4 experience, but how do you feel about the remapping of like how to use the materia in the menu? In the menu, yeah.
Oh, you have to go to like equipment and then press the button.
It's like weird. It's like cause like you use a different button than you do on the PS1 version. So
I feel like it was just a different menu item in the PS1 version, right?
Well, it's like I forget what it was in the PS4.
In the PS1, it's just equip and then materia.
Yeah, like in the PS1, it's triangle to remove. Yeah, it's like totally different in the PS4 version.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I guess it's been a while since I played the PS1 version. I played the PS1 version on Switch, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess you've been, like, playing Final Fantasy VII, the original, for, like, 2 decades straight, and, like, I think that's the thing, is, like, there's, like, a moment when my roommate was playing the first scene of, like, the demo, where they're getting off the train, and it's, like, a shot-by-shot remake of it.
Yeah.
Like, you see Aerith and stuff, and then there's the train.
Yeah.
And then, like, when the music cuts in, he was like, oh, this cuts in at the wrong second. Because, like, I'm used to it cutting in as soon as the train stops. But in the new version, it cuts in after they start to jump off the train and stuff. Or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, there's little details like that. That, like, after, like, spending 2 decades on a game, it has a lot to live up to. And, like, you know, dedicating your whole life to, like, playing games or making games or whatever. If you're a designer, like me and my roommates or whatever. Or if, like, you're a fan, like you and, like, millions of other gamers out there. Like, this game has a lot to live up to. But speaking of which, yeah, it, like, tries to hit on all the same kind of, like, stirry beats as, like, the original game. You're, like, going through, like, the same places, like Sector 7, Seventh Heaven, the subways, the different bosses, the different sectors, Wall Market and stuff like that. And the last chapter I completed was Wall Market.
And you go to some new places too.
You go to some new places as well, yeah. And you also flesh out a lot of older places too. And you also have some new enemies and new bosses and stuff like that. And even like lots of like minor things you fight end up becoming more like, I don't know, fleshed out and stuff. They try to draw those out.
Oh, they make like a... I don't know what should say. That's not a spoiler.
But yeah, we don't want to say spoilers yet. But like, yeah, they just flesh all that stuff out, and yeah, I don't know. There's
a certain boss I know that you think has like a funny name that you get a big kick out of.
I don't think this is a big spoiler to talk about Crab Warden. It's a giant enemy crab.
Well, yeah, it's part of the E3 meme, right? Also, right?
E3 meme. Like
the E3 meme. I guess we're going to turn this. I guess we're going to turn this into a food stream now. Also,
if you can't think of a boss for a game, you just make it a giant enemy crab.
This is a very realistic game. Let's put a giant enemy crab in it.
I don't know. I feel like that's also I feel like that happens a lot in Japanese games too. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that was originally in a game called Sudeki, where you played as a ninja or something.
Yeah.
The E3 meme.
I thought that was Genji. That was the
or
E3
Genji?
meme.
My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was Genji.
It's like weird because like you go from a scorpion to a crab. Like those aren't even the same family.
Oh, they're all the same. We're completely different. You're saying we all look alike.
I'm saying you don't look alike. I'm saying the exact opposite.
You're saying all arthropods are the same. We're different.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But yeah, maybe that's about it for the spoiler-free section, I guess. But yeah, this game is like, I'm really enjoying it so far. It does. My main negative criticism is that sometimes it feels like a little drawn out, because they're fleshing it out and they're kind of padding it a little bit, and like even like down to like battles, to like sections of the game, to like side quests and stuff. but it still feels like really fun to do, and like it, like I don't know, it's just with all the production value going on with like the voice acting and animation and like the different like sets and stuff, like all the like how they like make like fully realized like wall market or like different sectors slums and like all the dialogue of NPCs and stuff like that. You feel like it's a real bustling kind of like living, breathing environment like Midgar and stuff. You're smiling. What's
They
going on?
introduce new characters in Wall Market.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different new things that we'll get into in the spoiler section. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that they introduce in this game. And yeah, we'll get to that in the spoiler section. But yeah, I think this game is really interesting to check out. Is there a hint of like what we should talk about in the spoiler section, or?
It has to do with Wall Market, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff with Wall Market for sure, but also like stuff like how they remake this kind of like side story of like this like mysterious stuff happening in this game that didn't happen in the original. We'll talk about that, and then also yeah, also just like how they just have more fleshed out sections of the game, like with Crab Warden and things like that too. And like other fleshed out versions of the original slums, like Sector 7, Sector 5, Sector 6. And,
You remember
Wall
the
Market.
numbers better than I do, yeah.
I have the playlist right in front of me, and I have all the titles.
That's very good. Yeah. Gotta milk that, gotta advertise that, yeah.
Yeah, and the reactors also, yeah. Yeah, very cool game, worth checking out. Yeah. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the spoiler review section if you want to join in for that. But other than that, yeah, that's it for this part 1 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake review, chapters 1 through 9. Yeah, alright. See you next time. This is Mudita signing off.